What is up, everybody? This is Jake with the Evolve Your Fitness podcast, and I'm joined today by John Wood. What's up, John?
Yo, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being on. Today we're going to do a little hot takes video. It's a bunch of things that I have hot takes on, and John's either going to agree, and we'll kind of extrapolate on each point, or disagree, and we can kind of go back and forth and have a conversation over different things. But first up, John, what did you train today? And if so, what'd you do?
No, Thursdays I usually take it pretty mellow. I usually just do like a long aerobic piece on Thursday. Today, I had a lot to do, so I haven't done anything yet, but I will go on a run at some point in the next several hours. Just like a zone 3-ish pace. Just go out for a moderate effort for
just chilling. Yeah.
At least 3 miles probably.
Okay, cool. I also have a rest day today. I brought my mountain bike. I might go out for like an easy mountain bike ride, like just through the neighborhood, nothing crazy. And then I think I might do some like really light Turkish get-ups today or something like that. Just something fun, moving around. But yeah, last real workout I did yesterday was just our class workout from Saturday. I'm always way behind my clients. Memorial Day made it even worse, but every 2 minutes or every minute 30, one hang power snatch plus one into a touch and go power snatch for 5 rounds, just building. And then I did like 15, 10, 5 power snatch at 15, 10, 5 ring muscle ups and power snatch at 135 with 100 double unders before each round. So
that's a big time class workout.
Is it?
30 ring muscle ups and 300. 30 ring muscle ups in a class workout. I think
we do
pretty good. That's pretty impressive. That's good.
Well, I wouldn't say that like everybody's doing ring muscle ups,
for sure,
right?
Yeah, but still, I like it. I don't program workouts with 30 ring muscle ups very often at my affiliate, but maybe that's a lot.
So we do. So me and my wife both do all the programming that we program, and we do the program for the best, scale for the rest type thing. And we have very ordinary people. Like we only do classes, we don't do open gym or anything like that. And but we program stuff that we find exciting, or I program stuff that we find exciting. And then it just kind of kicks down from there for everybody else. But yeah, we've got our one of our mottos is like ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And it's really just about, people who don't, the gym isn't their life. They're not constantly here, but they can do a lot of cool shit and do a lot of aggressive workouts still. Yeah, that's just kind of our philosophy here.
It's good. The whole program for the best, scale for the rest. I think that's the motto to live by. I don't program ring muscle ups a crazy amount in Metcons, at least for class. I do it in skill pieces periodically. I just don't do it a crazy amount for Metcons. I would say once every couple months, but I program bar muscle ups every couple of weeks. At least once every 10 days, I would say. I don't know.
We probably do ring muscle ups or bar muscle ups every single week.
That's good.
Yeah, we just alternate back and forth. Sometimes if we do like a chest to bar workout or like a regular pull-up workout, we won't do, and it's like the bar, it's the opposite week of the ring muscle ups or whatever. We won't do a muscle up that week, but we usually will do like one barbell or one straight bar pulling day and then another rope climb pulling day. So I try not to spend too much time on the rig. It's all like kipping on a shoulder and everything.
Yeah, rope climbs are good. I do rope climbs quite a bit too. And I try and limit, I guess, the shoulder destruction from some of the sport-specific CrossFit movements and kipping on the rig. That's a large concern of mine, or I guess a large point of emphasis when I'm programming for class.
Yeah, no, it's between toes to bar, pull-ups and muscle ups, it's like you could be on that thing 4 days a week if you practice every single movement every single week. It's a interesting point of sport. Then you add in like strict pull-up work and stuff like that. It's hard to balance it out, but we try to And that's a power for at our gym, like with both me and my wife doing it. If we've been kind of overdoing it, it shows up in signs of our own bodies where we're like, holy crap, like we got to take it easy on this. So, and we're both getting older. Like I'm 38. So, yeah. Anyways, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I've been doing CrossFit since 2015, late 2015. Studied exercise science, and then like right into my degree. Right when I started my degree, I found CrossFit, and I was like one of the few people who were right when I started CrossFit. My goal was to just like make the CrossFit Games and be a competitor. So when I started, I was training as much as I possibly could tolerate, which at first was only like hour-ish a day. I would always try and train more, but it just didn't work out. I just like something would happen, I'd tweak something, I would overtrain, whatever. And then I slowly could increase that over time. And I've been competing since. I didn't really start competing at a high level until probably like 2019, 2020. And yeah, my fiance Zoe competes at a high level too. She was just at Syndicate.
Just an excellent Syndicate, in fact.
Yeah, she did good. She was great. She exceeded a lot of people's expectations. And yeah, she's got a weird story. She's been really good at CrossFit for several years. She's just had some unfortunate things happen to her. I mean, she finished 6th in the Open, something like that, 5th or 6th in the Open worldwide, like 4 years ago. And she's just tying a season together has been hard for obvious reasons that comes with competing at a high level. I've been coaching this whole time. I've never really had a serious full-time job. I've just been training people, doing CrossFit. Now I own an affiliate. It's been 2 years owning an affiliate. I coach some people online. I have a blog, like blog style track people follow. So most of my days now, they used to be spent 3 to 4 hours training. Now I only train probably a couple hours a week, 12 to 15 hours a week, which is still a good amount, but nothing like it used to be. And I'm just not training as hard. I'm not lifting as heavy because I'm trying to focus on growing the affiliate, growing the online track, and having conversations with people like you.
Awesome.
So here I am.
Yeah. How long have you been doing the online track? I didn't even know you were doing that.
A long time. I've been doing it. I haven't marketed it very much. I started programming for myself in 2022. So I've been programming for myself for 4 years. So I would say I started off when I first started competing or taking my fitness seriously, like in 2016, I was following Kevin Montoya's programming. Kevin Montoya was a coach with Ben Bergeron for a long time. He's not really in the space anymore. And then I got on I did Misfit Athletics for probably a year. I did Comp Train for probably a year. I was on Brute Strength with a guy who's getting individualized coaching for probably a year and a half. And then probably another couple years, I was on Forged by Zeus with Tim Paulson and David Sherbano. And I just got to the point where I was just changing so much of the training. I was like, I just need to write this myself. And that's what I wanted to do. And so I've been doing it ever since.
It's good to who was your coach at Brute?
So I was just doing it with a guy who was far better at CrossFit than me, but he was getting programming, I think, from Conway. And it was good. It was a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah. He posts up, I don't always agree with everything he posts, but he posts up some pretty good stuff. I really like his, he posted something recently about his accessories and different things that he did when he was getting ready for the games, involving like long hikes and long bike rides and runs and light Turkish get-ups like we were talking about, and then a really cool core thing where he's like hugging the medicine ball, doing like a around the world core blaster type thing. I thought it was really, really good. Yeah.
I mean, from a training standpoint, like his philosophy on how to get better in the competitive realm of CrossFit, I agree with him. Like, I still remember a lot of the things he had us do, and it was very good, and I do a lot of similar things, and I agree with him. But where I seem to scratch my head and disagree with him on a lot of the things he posts over and over again is more so towards the general population, like his opinions and his beliefs on training the general person. Like I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of things. I mean, like when I posted my thing about that, the most provocative post someone could make of me saying dietary carbohydrates being at 50% of your total caloric load is not a bad thing. He was like arguing with me. I was like, dude, what is going on here? But it's just like this, like I haven't revisited this carbohydrate talk because the recommendation CrossFit has for carbohydrates is, I mean, being 40% if you're following the zone, and that's below most acceptable macronutrient distribution ranges from almost any governing authority. And I came out and challenged that, and he was one of the people that fought back with me about that, and that it's just like concerning almost.
Yeah, it's so I don't know. Nutrition's like religion. It's very tedious to argue it, and then I mean the scope when you talk about CrossFit, there's a scope of different types of people that you can have is very hard to, like, from a games athlete like Jason Hopper to your regular affiliate goer that only comes 3 times a week. Those are two very different animals, and they require different approaches, and it's just it's a lot to kind of take in. I think it's great. I also think it's great that I got coached by Max El Haj back in the day.
Nice.
When he was still a lot less known, I would guess, and took on people like me. That's a huge learning thing to be able to learn from somebody else who handles a lot of athletes, handles high level athletes. And, that was the most value I got out of it was actually learning everything, that somebody who thinks about the program a lot, especially back then, because training back then was like the Wild West. We would just do, and I know for some people it hasn't changed that much, but you just do crazy fucking workouts. Anything you saw, oh, that looks cool, let's blast it. It's like, well, okay, you just did 80 bench press yesterday. I don't know if doing like another 150 burpees today is a great idea. It's like, no, we're doing it, back-to-back days, like, chest to bars and ring muscle ups and stuff like that, just really hard on the body. I can remember looking at one popular blog program at the time, and I just looked at like how many days in a row they used their shoulder, and it was just like blasting shoulders over push jerks, burpees, handstand walking, swinging from the, like, I was just like, holy shit, this is a lot.
I mean, dude, that's still like, I've said this multiple times. I've had someone go, because like I program for a lot of competitors, just coming from a competitive background. They're like, why do you program so much shoulder work? I'm like, that is what competing is. Like the competitive side of CrossFit, shoulders. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, it's hard. It's I normally try to have one day that's either really light on the shoulders or like no shoulders at all. And sometimes I kind of consider, like, let's say we do a day where it's like rowing and skiing. I kind of consider that not shoulders, even though you're still using the shoulder joint a lot, but just not like loading it heavily. But yeah, that's kind of a view on programming that I have. But yeah, it's hard. There's just too many things to work. Even you think like a front rack is still kind of holding it in your shoulder girdle. And that would be considered kind of like a no shoulder day for your average CrossFit.
Yeah, we use shoulders all the time. All the time. Always.
Just so you can brag on yourself a little bit, because I know this is impressive, but what's the highest you've ever finished in a CrossFit season, so everybody knows that doesn't know you?
I mean, I never did great in the open and quarterfinals, partially because those were just like the nature of the testing at those stages is different than what it is at semifinals. So and I'm at altitude. So there's both those factors. I'm not good at the tests, those style tests, and I'm at altitude. So I would say my fitness maybe was slightly underrepresented from the altitude, but not a lot. But at semifinals, I'd always do better. 2 years, and like, I'm not remembering the years, 22 and 23, I was 2 places away from making the games as an individual,
which is
2 years in a row.
extremely hard to do. I'm sure. Are those the years
Yeah, I
where
was
they did?
close. I was close.
Are those the years
It
where they
was
took like, kind of a lot of people in each
Yeah,
one?
it was the East and West. There were like 50 people at each. And the year, I think in Pasadena, they took 8 or 9. And then at the StubHub Center, I think it was 9. And I finished like 11th or 12th. Both those years. The first year I was a lot closer. And yeah, I was in Pasadena, I was really close. If the workout orders would have been different, there's a chance I would have made it. At
Is
least
that the
that's
year?
what I
Is that the year that they had the 800-meter run, clean and jerk
yeah.
workout?
Yeah, they ended with like my wheelhouse workout. I got second on it. And it was just the last workout of the weekend, and a workout like that where you just lay down the echo bike, someone who's in 35th place that
Just
doesn't want to go to a dark place.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I needed those people to like send it. And if that would have been the first, if that would have been the first workout, I'm certain the leaderboard would have looked far different. Because at that point, in my opinion, and I've been to a lot of competitions, when it's the final workout, you have 5 or 6 scores under your belt and you're going into just a pure pain cave workout. The difference between 95% and 100% on a leaderboard is a big difference. And on the amount of pain that you absorb is a big difference. And it's just easy to give 95%. And I don't know, that's how I sleep better at night, as I tell myself. If the workouts would have been different, I might have made it.
Well, I mean, that's still crazy impressive. You placed really high. Is that like the Echo Bike ring muscle up lunge workout?
No, that was in the StubHub Center. This was
Okay.
It was like 3 rounds, 15 Echo Bike, 15 to 20 total bar, and a heavy sandbag carry.
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah. Oh yeah, that one's a lot of pain. I think we actually did that one here with D-balls.
Yeah, you just got to rip the bike.
It's awful.
Yeah.
If you've had a rough weekend, that's going to be a hard one to get yourself up for by the end.
Yeah, and that's what happened. Like the top 15 people were the top 15 scores on the leaderboard and that was like my whole.
Middling is a real, I don't know if you want to say like issue for the sport, but it's something I've noticed. Well, here we'll do hot take number 1. All right. When you don't qualify all the right people to quarterfinals, it makes middling in the quarterfinals much harder. For instance, my wife is pretty good. She only does class workouts. She has no desire to do more than that. We also have 2 kids, but she finds that anything over like a regular class anyway, she loses enjoyment. It's not fun. She's feeling beat up and doesn't feel like it's adding to her life. It just feels like it's taken away. But she's smaller. She's like 5 foot tall and like 130 pounds. Really good at handstand push-ups, but not good enough to like take on these like high-level semifinals girls. But she'll like finish the handstand push-up workout and will only be, not that many places away from a girl who didn't even get a single handstand push-up. As opposed to like, I don't know if you see this the same way, but like heavy dumbbells, like a heavy dumbbell snatch is a little bit more challenging for a smaller person because the handle is the same thickness regardless of if it's male or female, right? And so she might have a little bit harder time with that. But since everybody can do that, there's a ton of middling happening, and she'll get pushed way down the leaderboard on a workout like that. But since so few people, since they didn't test for strict handstand push-ups necessarily, or even if they did, they take enough that it doesn't matter. There's not enough people to fill in those gaps on a strict handstand push-up workout.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand what you're saying. So you're saying the modalities of testing aren't equally represented in terms of the difficulty of which that they are to perform, something along those lines.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of like it's a problem in the testing situation in general with when you have this many people and you're only rewarding points for number of people in between, as opposed to like what the actual score or time. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah, the
know, like
score. I mean, the scoring model based on. Yeah, I mean, based off the number of people, I don't think is great. I mean, I'm a firm believer. I don't know how it would work in the open, but like some form of bell curve scoring system, I think would be best. That's been shown with the that they do at Crash, the P score, Z
P
score,
score. Yeah.
whichever it is. That's based off the differential from other people. Like
Hmm.
I don't, I asked Tyler the other walk-ins who I think was one of the guys who like pushed for Crash to do it. I was like, why aren't more competitions doing this? And there really was no good answer. The only good answer is that it's harder to tell a story about the competition when you're doing it. That was like the best answer he gave me. But I mean, your concern with the scoring system being too much a product of the volume of people showing up
Hmm.
might not be great for testing early in the season. I mean, I don't think that's crazy take at all. I mean, I think getting judged amongst your peers is better. And I think when you're someone like Colton Mertens and you set the world record by 30 seconds and you're that far ahead, I believe you should get rewarded for that on the leaderboard. And when the deviation from, if it's a bell curve, from the thickest part of the curve, difference shouldn't be very much. Like versus like you get workouts that in the open where it's a 3-rep difference and you're like 5,000 places different. Maybe not that many, but you get the point.
It
Is
can
that
be
when it's
pretty.
only 3 reps? Yeah.
I think
Which like I
wall
don't
ball
think
workout
is
this year.
yeah, I don't think the difference in points should be that big. I think it should be really small when you're talking like someone was like 3 seconds ahead of you. I think it'd be awesome to see the points reflected like that. And I think that scoring system is superior to what you're saying. And I think the game's the same way. I don't like the way the game scores events. I don't like the 100 points for first place in the tiered system down. I think it causes a lot of problems. And even when they do it, and then when they do the cuts at the games and then the point system changes, that's a problem too. There's problems across the board. I don't know why we don't do this P score, Z score. So I agree. It's a problem.
Yeah. I understand why they don't do the P score. Like that's I mean just explaining P score to your average person. First of all, the fact that you have to explain the scoring is a problem. Unfortunately, I agree fundamentally with you on that, how you should get rewarded for extra effort, but it's just it's hard. That would be like having to explain, you know, in the NFL, well, they get points for scoring a touchdown, but they also get a lot of points for having the ball for a certain amount of time. So at the end of the year, or at the end of the game, we added up all the time that they were in possession of the ball, and we gave them 7 more points because of that. It's very not concrete for the viewer.
It's more abstract, but it's more accurate.
No, I agree. It's just that does, sometimes sports aren't always, like the UFC, the easiest way to do it would be just, hey, we're going to start this. It's going to be a 20-minute clock. And the guy who can stand up at the end of the 20 minutes wins. And the guy who can't loses.
But if they're both standing up, then it's like
then you need the judges, yeah.
Yeah.
But I had another thing in there. I hate the tiered system at the games too. I've always found it odd that we claim that we want everybody to be well-rounded, but the tiered system doesn't actually reward the person who's well-rounded. It hurts them. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
it does. But the scoring system, the tiered system of 100 points down, rewards if you win events more, in theory, rather than placements. Because like if you're 2 minutes ahead and from the rest of the field, in just a tier, in just like a 1, 2, 3 in a ranking system, it's not as good. So I do know winning at the games is more or at higher level events, winning events is more important than just being average. But the P score, Z score, it benefits you way more than if you're specialized in one.
Yeah,
I just don't know what an alternative would be. Like if we're not going to do the tiered system and we're not going to do P score, Z score, I just don't know what it would
just
be.
give points per placement, 1 single point or whatever,
So like the open, you would score it like the open.
Yeah, but you're down to like 40 people. I don't like that. It's like,
Yeah,
we're gonna
I wouldn't be on board with that, because then if Colton Burns wins an event by 2 minutes and a set of qualities is far more trained and developed than the rest of the field, I think he should get rewarded to some degree rather than just 1 point from second place.
yeah, but so you're looking at the top end. At the bottom end, you get punished way more. Like, if Colton beats 10 people, right? He only gains like 10 points at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Because they do like, it's a 5 point gap at the top, and then it goes to 3, and then it goes to 2, and then like the bottom it goes down to 1, and it punishes you for having any weaknesses more than it rewards you for having strengths.
But
You know
P score and Z score punishes you even harder at times you should. Like, I suck at running. There was a lot of workouts where if it was P score, Z score, I would have been even more host. But since it wasn't, I got like my 20 points because I completed the event when I probably should have gotten like 1, because I was just that far behind the pack.
Doesn't it go down to 0? It doesn't go down to 0?
No, so the funny thing about P score is, I think Tyler was telling me
not P score, C score. I'm talking about the scoring system that's right now. Does it go? You don't get 0 points for last place?
I should know the answer to that. I've never gotten 0 points. I don't think you get 0 points.
Well, that would be weird.
I don't think you ever get 0 points. I think you get like 2 or 3.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
I know about the negatives with P score though. I don't even know if you know this, but I competed at Crash this year.
Oh wow!
But not in the young guns category. I was in
the Masters.
Yeah, but yeah, I was there same time as you. I've known JR for a little while, so but yeah, I don't know. Anyways, we'll move on from that one because it's I don't know. That one's a tedious one.
Yeah.
But I do think that some different types of scoring things could be nice to visit, especially in the Open and quarterfinals, to make sure that we're getting like the best people onto the next stages, whatever that is. And I actually think that stuff, those stages rewarding people properly is what brings more fans up in the sport and helps develop people better. If you're not properly rewarding people for being good at things, they'll be like, this sport sucks and I'm out, or like you want people, know, right? Actually, I think this year is a really good year. The way that they set it up, where they have the I'm not going to say that the workouts are the greatest, but I think that the progression from the Open to quarterfinals to semifinals, and then the top semifinals people get to go to an actual in-person semifinals. That's a great system to push up through, and gives people like little incremental goals as they go along.
I'm fine with the system. It just needs to stay the same.
Well, we agree on that. It's really hard to follow in general for people if it's not the same. And each year, if making a certain stage means something different, it doesn't. Nobody can gauge it, right? I mean, like they had quarterfinals at top 10%, then they changed it to 25%. Yeah. And it's like, you're saying the same thing, but now quarterfinals back then is almost like what semifinals is now. Not quite.
Yeah, but, I'm all on board with the Open being inclusive, quarterfinals, semifinals games. I'm all on board with that track. I mean, there's details about the season that make it horrendous, but the overarching quarterfinals, semifinals games is a perfectly fine approach. It just needs to remain constant.
Yeah, nice. All right, well, let's go on to a different point. I'm trying to think. I'll do one that I know that you feel pretty passionately about. I think you posted up about it, but I think kipping handstand pushups and even strict handstand pushups to flat ground are like kind of silly movements. Like a strict handstand pushup just to this flat ground is already a partial range of motion. It's just going from the top of the head straight up. Now you add in kipping, and you're literally just doing neck pogo sticks or pogo bounces basically. And I can't stand that movement. And I also think, I don't know if there's a great amount of transfer over to like your jerks and your push presses and stuff like that, doing even a strict handstand push-up from the top of your head to locked out, as opposed to like going through a fuller range of motion of like a deep deficit.
Yeah. I had a post talking about it saying I think they should be banned or whatever from competition is something along the lines I said. I actually like handstand push-ups work fine for me. Like I don't hate them, but it's more so like the overarching message that I was trying to portray is that just like the abuse of sport specific movements. And the first thing like talking about something like this is like there has to be a very clear distinction. Like when we're talking about things like this, is are we talking about CrossFit as a testing framework or are we talking about it as a training framework? Two extremely different schools of thought. Talking about it as a training framework is just hard because you could be doing very different things and you could increase your work capacity, right? As a testing framework, in theory, like I'm all on board with variance. I'm on board with not necessarily, I don't think handstand push-ups in general could be banned. I think our ability to constantly select handstand push-ups, strict handstand push-ups, kipping handstand push-ups every single year at almost every event, that's the flaw in the system. Kipping handstand push-ups specifically, I have a problem with because of what I just said. It's getting selected at every single competition. So if that's the case, that means you have to train it an immense amount. So if you're training something an immense amount, like all the sport-specific gymnastic movements that get selected in testing to a degree that makes absolutely no sense in accordance with the CrossFit methodology. There's no variance in a lot of things we do anymore. And that might be because it's a sport and might not be trying to follow the CrossFit methodology. That's one thing. And that's a take that I just don't agree with. Like, I think the sport should have a high degree of carryover in terms of following the CrossFit methodology. So that's me assuming that there should be a higher degree of variance, and there's not. So when I have to train kipping, handstand push-ups, strict handstand push-ups twice a week for 5 years to get to a capacity that's somewhat acceptable, like my neck could tolerate it okay. I don't think most people can. And I don't think having to train the exact same movement twice a week for years on end, like that doesn't just seem in alignment with the CrossFit methodology. And the other example would be things like butterfly chest to bar pull-ups. Like these movements, both kipping handstand push-ups, butterfly chest to bar pull-ups, they're just hard on your body. They're just hard on your body. And I don't think the testing system of CrossFit has to select movements like that at the frequency they do. And I'm okay with them showing up, I guess. It's the frequency that they show up, and they make people like me and competitors train them in an amount that just tears our body down. And I don't think that's necessary. So my grievance was saying kipping handstand push-ups should be banned was more so an effort to talk about the sheer amount of representation certain sport-specific skills get tested over a period of time.
So one, I think that we're always going to have trickle down. Like this is for whatever reason, it seems like I mean, for good and for bad, whatever happens at the games kind of trickles its way down, and you eventually see it in the affiliate, partially because we're supposed to do the open, right? That's helping rep the brand, all that stuff. Well, if I'm an affiliate owner, well, of course I'm going to practice things that I think are going to come up in the open, because I don't want my clients to not do better in the open. And so you kind of force the affiliate owners. You're like, well, hey, you should sign up for this, but also we're going to test these things. And so the affiliate owner's like, okay, so we'll practice them a lot. Well, don't do that, because that could actually be bad for your clients. That's only for athletes. And it's like, well, but then I'm going to sign them up for this thing that I know they're not going to do as good at, because I know that's going to come up. That's a problem I have with just not having enough variance and necessarily the open or whatever. For instance, you'd have been better off this year for every week for the last year, you'd practice 200 wall balls. Might not be the greatest thing for your knees or whatever. But so I think that you can't unmarry those two, the sport and
you can't.
Affiliates.
But then like gets to things just don't make sense. And I'm all for an inclusive open, and let's do it, but we're not. Like there's no like all the time domains and even the movements in the open, and much worse in the open than quarterfinals, were just starkly similar. Mm-hmm. And I understand that As the season goes on, potentially things get more broad, things get more varied, like at the games versus the open. That's absolutely what should happen. This is the mistake that I think has happened is they have, I'm trying to get this right. HQ, they have not varied time. Time has not been varied, and movement selection has not been varied. They have kept time almost the same, and they've kept movement selection fairly the same across the board.
Oh, you're saying like
I
following
think,
that like 10 to 15 minute workout
yeah,
type,
I think
or 8 to 15, right?
I think time why time should be like priority 1, maybe 2 after movement selection or motor programs that need to be varied. Even at the open. Like you can have something short and you can have something long. That's like the most basic level that they're missing. And
it's tough with the 3-week open, I guess. I'm trying to think of
is it though? Is it? You could have 2 weeks that have 2 tests, and each one could be a 10-minute window. From 0 to 1, you could do something, literally anything, and then from minutes 2 to 10, you do a AMRAP.
So you're just saying like
2-minute bout.
two partial, 2-piecer.
Yeah, from an affiliate owner standpoint, it's not really that complicated, and I'm not saying it absolutely has to be heavy because it doesn't. You could do, there's a million things you could do. You could have more. That's like one thing I'm pushing for. It's like I think we need more score, more events, more score, and that goes with like this last weekend at Syndicate. We had an entire weekend. Zoe had 6 events, and she could walk out on the floor and had roughly 20 minutes each event, and then we only got 6 scores. Like, in my opinion, there could be easily 8 to 10 scores. And I think that would just be a better test of fitness. I think it would be broader. I think you could target qualities better. And
I'm not going to act like I understand what it running a high level event like that's a logistics and everything else. That's a challenging thing. But in the affiliate, I feel like it would be easy to do some, like a short one, take a 10-minute break and go into a longer one. You could still all fit inside that 20-minute time cap. It gets tough with scoring and judge. That's the other problem with really short stuff. I feel like you're more at the whims of whether or not the scoring was correct, affiliate to affiliate. But and it's hard with your average person to do a short test, I guess you could say. That's true fitness too,
In the open, I fully think there should absolutely be a test that's under 3 minutes.
What would you do?
Even shorter. You could do anything. You could do 20 deadlifts at a moderate load into 20 bar muscle ups back into 20 deadlifts 4 times. Elite athletes might be like 90 seconds to 2 minutes, have a 3-minute cap. There's a million things you could do. You could have them do like a heavy version of Fran, and then at the very end you do max rep bar muscle ups for a 3-minute AMRAP. So the elites just are holding on for dear life. Like there's endless amount of options that you could do. It's just we just don't do it. We just don't do it. Like the general population needs to be tested on a short time scale too. And I understand the open, it might not be as broad as the games. Me saying the games needs to have more testing under 60 seconds. The open should absolutely have testing under 3 minutes every single year.
Yeah, I think this covers a bigger problem, which is it's very hard to test all. One, we want everybody to be able to do all the, check that RX button. That creates a problem because when you're testing people's so many different abilities, you want people to feel accomplished at the end of it. I personally think there should be like 3 different. Well, it would be 4, I guess, 4 different pieces in the open. There should be like an elite division, RX division, scale division, and then you have your foundations. I think, the fact that you have your elites, I bet we had 50% of our gym able to do RX, all 3 workouts. When you have the elites going against people that are like, 50th percentile, that's a very, very challenging to make a test that feels fulfilling for the people at 50th percentile, and also that correctly, test the elites, and actually that correctly test the the 50th percentile to. It just makes a real challenge. That's I think about that a lot, how there could be a few more divisions and stuff. I have ideas on how you could do different things and reward points differently, such as like minimum work requirements so that people get in the right. I get driven nuts by the fact that 1 rep at RX beats 10 rounds at scale. Like, I don't know why that drives me so nuts, but I feel like there should be like a minimum work requirement that's like, no, you actually did this workout. You didn't just do like a handful of reps. I think about like the one I always go back to is I forget what year it was, but the row double under deadlift workout, where it's 20 minutes of just, cardio. If you decided to go scaled, you would lose, and you did 10 rounds of that. You are fit as fuck, right? As opposed to somebody who did RX and got 2 rounds. It's like, who's more fit here? I think the person who did scaled and did 10 rounds showed that they had a great work capacity.
Yeah.
But I don't blame the RX person. I just think that you need to reward properly, right? And so maybe it's like, well, if you didn't get at least this many rounds, then you go down below this level of scale people or something like that. So,
I haven't thought too much about the scoring system. I mean, in theory, the open, if you're just trying to get people to quarterfinals, the test should be trying to filter out that 20% range, right? So, trying to make
so I'm like an affiliate guy through and through. So I look at it throughout the whole affiliate and what promotes good behaviors amongst my affiliate members and what like rewards people for being fit from the least fit to the most fit inside the affiliate. So we look at it a little bit differently. You're looking at like always at the top end, and I kind of look at,
I mean, I'm looking at it from like how, if you're going to program it, you have to like know the difficulty of which you're programming it for to even program it. That's step 1. And then step 2, I guess, to what you're saying is what qualities you're going to value for the general population. In my opinion, that would be determined based on movement selection and loading, on what qualities and biases you're going to value in terms of qualities. But the difficulty of the workouts has to have some North Star, right? There's got to be some form of gauge in terms of like the difficulty and the stimulus of.
Yeah. What stimulus you're shooting for?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then that's my biggest
problem. A workout that was going to challenge the center of the line. Like that's of the bell curve. That's very different than me trying to challenge someone to potentially advance the quarters. Right.
Yeah. I actually thought that workout was better than most people thought for challenging like the top end people. Well, I'm sure you probably know, you probably did it. Like that was probably pure misery for you.
It was a good workout. It was just a classic CrossFit workout. Yeah, I was fine with it.
Yeah, like the really fit, like I was not fit enough to push the row. So every time I got back on the row, it was like, okay, just stay steady enough that when you get off this, you can go unbroken on the deadlifts and the double unders every time. Whereas somebody who's really fit, I feel bad for, because it's like, no, I have to hold this pace. And then I'm going to get off and go unbroken. And oh my God, they had to feel like you're getting waterboarded for like at least 15 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. In my head, the shorter workouts, like the 20-minute workouts just don't hurt as bad for me. I feel like
because you have to pace inherently.
Yeah, like the first half of the workout is not like, you shouldn't really enter the pain cave in a workout like that until like 12 to 14 minutes in. If like you're 7 minutes in, if I'm in the pain cave, I'm gonna have a bad score because I paced it horribly.
Yeah, but the fitter people can be highly uncomfortable for a long time. Especially like when it comes down to like just going unbroken on the double unders and the deadlifts, like, because that was really the big thing. Can you get off transition quick? And
the whole time,
really fit people can be way more out of breath than me and do double unders unbroken. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, that I just don't think, like, if you watch, if Colton or whoever, Justin Hopper, if you have put the world record attempt on and you stop them at 7 minutes and you ask them what the RPE they're at, it's probably not.
Oh, it's still not. Yeah. So you think like I think like 4 minutes is one of the worst, because it seems to be when you do like 2-minute workouts, a lot of the people who are really powerful can get in and out before the pain hits. But you go a little bit longer into like that 4 minutes, and everybody has to kind of suffer during that time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Most of the time in CrossFit gym movements. I mean, you want to feel some serious pain, go out and hit the track and run a 400 meter as hard as you can, and you're going to be, well,
there you go.
some people are going to be done in less than a minute, and they're going to be in pain almost the entire time. But unfortunately, inside of the gym, there's a lot of things take a while for the fatigue to just like doing Grace at 135. Like there are people who can do 30 unbroken and move it really fast and not feel too terrible by the end, like Dan Bailey back in the day when he did like minute 6 or whatever. I'm sure there's people.
It just never hits them. I mean, it's those high round workouts, the high round workouts that you're just doing low reps and then moving on, low reps and moving on. And especially when those style of workouts are long, like this row workout we're talking about, whether it's 15 or 20 minutes, it's just the last little bit suck, but it just takes time rather than if it was like a 15-minute. Like I've done many 15 and 20-minute workouts that are just like chippers or they're heavy and it's just like a higher density per movement per round. And it can just bury you. So it's like, partially a function of movement, load, and I guess density of each movement.
Yeah, it's tough. Well, yeah. Inside the open, it's hard to like open up with a 365-pound deadlift, which is something that could make, really fit people feel wasted inside of 3 minutes.
But I mean, I've done a lot of 225 deadlift workouts that just bury me.
Oh, I mean, what's that? I mean, that one.
The 10-1, dude, that's like one of the worst workouts I've ever done. 10-1, 1-10, open workout.
Oh, the burpees. Yeah, that's that was not fun. I remember feeling kind of salty about that one. I'm fucking terrible at burpees over the bar, though, for some reason. I'm probably not good at burpees. My wife would tell me I'm not good at any type of burpees, so it's all right. All right. Let's go. Having an open workout in a 3-week, or having a workout in the open that's in a 3-week open that's hinges on your ability to do double unders, to me is kind of crazy. Like, it's seriously one skill, and almost every year we hinge an entire workout on your ability to do that. And
I mean, there's a lot of people out there that can't do pull-ups, that will program pull-ups, will program muscle-ups.
Yes.
Right? A lot of people can't do both of those. It's a completely different quality. One's just skill, neurological, one's skill, neurological, and strength. But there's plenty of gymnastic skills. I mean, even a total bar. Like, look at a total bar. I got many members at my gym that aerobically are pretty fit, but cannot do a total bar. And double unders is just a lot less like raw fitness related, a lot more just neurological. That I'm like, it's still, I mean, it's just another limitation for some people. But I've known some people who are very, very fit that just like can't do double unders. It's so strange.
It's something with like the patterning. Yeah, it's
that's exactly right.
It's weird. I think it's. I would think it was more normal if even if it was like, okay, 1 year it was double unders, and the next year we did crossover single unders, and then the next year we did backwards jump rope, and you change it up. But the fact that it's always just the double under, and maybe that one person who has like some kind of glitch in their system that makes double unders hard. I just think that's it's wild. Like, I've watched a lot of people get a lot more fit over the course of 2 years, and their double unders got slightly better, but they still just got their fucking face smashed in by double unders. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I think in the open you could have single unders. I absolutely think you could. We haven't seen that, at least in an extremely long time. And I think crossover single unders are a phenomenal movement that should get programmed more.
Yeah, I do too. I like the crossover double unders as well myself, but I thought that the year that they had that in that Boss program, that was really cool. And it was like the first time we've seen an evolution with the jump rope. and a way to challenge yourself. Because I'm like I told you earlier, I've been doing this since 2011. The fact that the only thing I ever do with that jump rope is double unders just drives me nuts. There's so many other cool skills we could work on and have fun with. I think the year that they had the games, I had two of my friends who aren't very good at double unders, and I challenged them to like, hey, let's practice every day for the next 3 months, and let's see who can get to. I'm going to try to get to 50 crossover double unders before you guys can, and it has to be on your first attempt in the gym. Or maybe I gave you 3 attempts, but it was like, have to do it on your first time. They were trying to get to 50 regular double unders. I was trying to get to 50 crossovers.
That's hard. That's hard.
They didn't practice at all. I beat them to it. Not because I'm better, but mostly because I just practiced it and they didn't.
Wow, that's wild. That's
50
wild.
crossover double unders is one, I'm not very good at them, right? But doing that many in a row was really painful. Like there's a lot of lactic acid. My chest felt blown up. It was like I was doing like cable crossovers while doing triple unders at the same time.
So, no, they blow you up. I don't know if I've ever done a set of 50. I have them, but I've never practiced them a crazy amount because they just don't show up at competition. But I'm all for them showing up. And I don't know why. There's a lot of things I don't understand. And this is just another one of them, why we only do double unders.
What's tough? You got to have people who, that's not going to appeal to everybody. So maybe that doesn't appeal to Dave to do different things with the jump rope. And I don't
care. It shouldn't matter. Like, it shouldn't matter what appeals to Dave. What matters is variance, right? What matters is variance in setting up the affiliates in a position to increase people's fitness, and variance through skill related elements like the jump rope matters. Like, I don't think having our choice of fitness or our framework of testing fitness to be subject to what Dave thinks is good, just maybe there's logic to it. Like, what's the logic?
Well, so one, there might not be logic. It might just be a blind spot. Like, he's never thought to change that. He's focused on other ways of changing things, right? We all have our blind spots. I'm sure I've had ways that somebody be like, well, why don't you just try doing it this way? And I would have never thought of it. Or you're like, dude, I already am doing this wild thing this year. I can't change. He's come up with a ton of like new stuff. I kind of feel bad that he catches such a bad rap right now because everybody forgets how innovative he has been for 15 years. And then things have kind of slowed down maybe a little bit, partially because his hands are tied and we want to kind of kill him. And I feel like he's gotten a little bit, not a completely fair shake where everybody just wants to pound him and not be like, all right, yeah, but like, let's not forget that there's things like, I mean, every year at the semifinals now, we see somebody do a 2-2-2-3 workout, and he came up with that, or he was the first to program it a high level thing. And there's so many things that he's done that has been passed down to other competitions that I don't want to fault him for being like, well, why didn't you think of this? I just think it's cool. That's the thing with being when you have one person in charge for so long, you don't have a chance for other people's ideas to flourish, and how Boz looks at different things. My favorite quote from Boz is like, right, everybody thinks that rings are just for muscle ups and ring dips or whatever he said that one time. And that's true. Like, but we get stuck in these ways of looking at the tools, but Dave has had different ways of programming workouts. Boz looks at maybe Boz's big thing is, why don't we use this tool for this? And that's his strong point. But if we left him at the helm for 20 years, we'd be saying like, oh, why didn't this dipshit come up with this instead? So I do like during that time when Boz was in charge, and there was a chance that we could have crossover single unders come up in the open. I loved that because we got to program different things in the classes and we had fun with it. And I think it was a lot more exciting than maybe being like, hey, every week for the next 2 years, we're going to practice double unders until I can wake you up in the middle of the night and you can do 100.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah. But so that's it. That's just a beef I have. I don't know why it gets me. I also think it's kind of weird that, and this is like a whole nother tangent, but like there's a lot of women that struggle with it and having incontinence, right, problems. and it's such a big
Yeah.
thing, and it's got, so. But I don't know if that could be a problem with single unders too. There's probably a million movements that would come up on, so that might be just blaming one single movement. Let's see here. I actually wanted to talk to you about jumping, because I know you've been big on talking about this, and me and JR had a podcast where we chatted about like a max jump test and how it's changing, or it's what would you call it? Challenging you in the same way that like a max lift would, right? In that time domain, that explosive hips, but it's more relative to body weight, I guess you would say. So I think that it's a huge, I feel like in CrossFit, a lot of people have to gain weight to be successful because you have to lift the weights. And then not only do we have that, but we also don't do enough tests where you get rewarded for having a really high relative strength. We don't do strict pull-ups that much. Even like our legless rope climbs, you can kip your way through it. We don't do jumping tests, and we don't test running that much until the end levels. So this creates a athlete that's like probably bigger than they naturally would be. And it's just like a kind of a thorn in my craw, I guess you'd say, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, I think this like idea of not testing jumping and sprinting is the core of, I guess, my grievance with just the testing framework in general. And there's so many ways to say why this is exposing a lot of what's wrong. I mean, the first thing, like you mentioned, is that without it, one, it's going to select athletes that are larger and larger. And like, if you want to compete in CrossFit, you got to put some freaking muscle on. Like, there's so many people that I coach, and I'll have a serious conversation with them. I'm like, you want to get to a high level? Like, we got to start putting on mass now. Like, it's a very big deal, and it's not accounting for the own individual doing the work. And that's part of the problem. The other part of the problem I see it is with the way CrossFit defines short, medium, long. And in theory, like if you place like an equal weight on each time domain, your fitness or the qualities that we assess should be in accordance with like getting fitter, like your entire work capacity should be getting better. And this is a massive problem, in my opinion. CrossFit defines the time domains as short as being under 5 minutes. So you could have testing that's 4 to 5 minutes long for a very long time throughout the season, testing people, and you're missing so many qualities of fitness. And those qualities happen to be plyometric exercises, which, in my estimation, if we're talking about GPP, we're talking about getting people ready for whatever the heck nature can throw at you. Plyometrics seem remarkably important. I would say more important than Olympic lifting. And I understand the argument with Olympic lifting that when you're doing Olympic lifting, you're training a massive set of qualities, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can snatch 300 pounds and have no idea how to sprint and be wildly inefficient at both sprinting and jumping. You might be able to perform half decent in it, but in terms of what wave of adaptation you're on, you could be way down the line. Like I snatch every single Monday for the last like 10 years, essentially. And I don't know how to sprint properly,
Mm-hmm.
but I've snatched 300 pounds. Like that's not right in my head. But this starts with how CrossFit defines time domains. Because if we're just defining time domains on minutes 4 to 5, it's going to be harder to test plyometrics. That doesn't mean it's impossible. Like, here you go. Why don't we have more testing? And you could do this. You could do this at quarterfinals. You could do a jump. I would say a jump over a PVC. Super easy. In the middle of a workout, instead of putting like 365 deadlifts, like you mentioned earlier, you have to jump over a 40-inch PVC.
Mm-hmm. Like 40
Something like that.
Ups.
Yep, that's cheap. Everyone has a PVC. Everyone has a box. Everyone has plates. You can do it. Or another one, if you're doing a max effort test, you could do a broad jump. Or you could do a broad jump and you have to draw 2 lines that are 80 inches wide. So in the middle of a workout, you have to jump over like you're simulating jumping over a river. We just don't test it. And here you go. Here's the reason why we don't test it is it's just not Glassman didn't entirely miss it. Glassman did define where, when I was reading through the article about programming, it was like the original programming article. So where would you put plyometrics in terms of weightlifting, monostructural, or gymnastics? What category would you put it in?
Gymnastics.
Yep, he put it in gymnastics. It's like at the very bottom of the list. And we test gymnastics like almost exclusively with upper body. And sometimes we'll do right toe to bar, muscle ups, chest to bar, handstand push-ups. Like when you think of someone being a good gymnast in this world of CrossFit, you don't think about how good they are at plyometrics. Like you're not like, wow, that guy can jump over something really high, or he's a really good sprinter, because we don't test those things.
Yeah.
I mean, box jumps in theory, like doing 100 box jumps in a workout, that's gymnastics. You're moving your body weight. You are jumping, but like by no means rewards someone who is good at doing that. Like for example, I'm a product of the system. Like a workout with box jump overs, I might do decent, and I take someone else I train with who is a far more developed qualities of gymnastics in terms of plyometrics, jumping abilities. Like I'm going to do better than him because I've abused, truthfully speaking, the qualities that select plyometrics. I have dumbed my fast twitch fibers down so I can be better at CrossFit. And that's a big one. Is when I made a post about this a long time ago. So if games athletes, myself included, are telling me, yeah, dude, I agree with you. I am for sure not jumping and sprinting like I used to be able to before I started CrossFit. Is that not a problem?
I mean, I think it is. I have gone through lengths to correct. I think I've told you about my dunk challenge, and I've gone through different iterations where we've done sprinting in our affiliate. I took like a couple of years off. I've always done it every summer, done a little bit of sprinting, and sometimes it goes well, and sometimes I hurt myself. I'm just now getting to a point where I feel like I'm figuring out systems to prevent you from hurting yourself. But I think that being able to sprint is super important. I have two young boys, and we'll play games outside, and even just a fast motion of like we're playing tag or we're throwing balls, and you'll cut real hard and run hard one way can sometimes I feel old as shit. And I was like, oh man, I got to start like, training these qualities back up again, because I don't like feeling that way. I mean, I was a baseball player when I was in high school and college, and that is mostly sprinting. Like everything you do in baseball is you're either doing nothing, halfway sleeping, or you're sprinting as hard as you can, or swinging as hard as you can.
So like there's this like school of thought, like with what we're doing in CrossFit and with GPP, is that in my estimation, a lot of what we're doing and the patterns that we're seeing with programming is following the assumption that as a community collectively, we are following one of Greg Glassman's core beliefs and tenets, is that's regularly learn and play new sports. Because when you regularly learn and play new sports, you're probably on the field, you're moving laterally, you're moving quick, and that you're doing that. The only problem is, at least in my circles, people aren't learning new sports outside of CrossFit Gym. The vast majority of people who probably go to your affiliate, who go to my affiliate, like this is their fitness for the day on like a monthly basis. Like they're not going out and trying skateboarding. They're not trying other things. So all those qualities and skills, whether it's lateral movement, whether it's the fast twitch, plyometric things that I won't stop talking about, is they're not being touched in training. They're just being entirely looked over. They're being missed. And it's going to be really hard to change how we inject that into the methodology. And I don't know, like I've had a lot of people be like, dude, what you're trying to say is an absolute waste of time because nothing's going to change. And maybe they're right. I don't know, but I don't know how to change it.
I wonder if this is super dorky, and people will say it's probably semantics, but if the L1 got revamped and one of the 9 foundational movements became a 10th foundational movement, and it was like a broad jump or something like that.
Dude, I like I have a really hard time with the L1. I have a really hard time with it. So I was like looking through the L1 manual the other day, and like I was trying to think of like the amount of fuel I had in there of things I could like post and offer criticism to is so immense. I'm just like, why do I need to do it? Here's a basic one for you. Why I could go on. I could talk about this for 2 hours. Why is nutrition at the base of the pyramid? It's
Well,
wildly incorrect. It's wildly incorrect.
for most people, the biggest mover for their fitness is going to be bettering their nutrition.
More important than sleep? More important than total stress management? It should be recovery. Recovery should be at the bottom of the pyramid.
But that, and then nutrition would be part of that.
Yep.
Right.
But sleep,
I mean,
you're going to make zero progress if you're not sleeping.
No, I agree with you there. I think here, before we get too deep into the weeds on this, I think that the L1 is awesome, right? I think that it is one of the best pieces of content out there to educate people in the masses that there is. So when dorks like me and you pick it apart for the few things that, or for some of the things we don't like, I think we are getting kind of nitpicky on something that's pretty awesome in general, and we forget how much it's done for the broad masses, right, of people.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but I also do think it's toxic for us to not be able to sit here and have these conversations.
No, I agree there, and but I guess you could say that not having sleep in there is an oversight, but that might be the most it is. It's just it's an oversight. We never even thought about talking about the sleep part, or it didn't come up. Or remember at the time that the L1 came out, just talking about nutrition and eating healthier was kind of groundbreaking. Now you start adding in sleep, and you're telling people they're doing everything wrong. I think maybe now we're ready to talk about it now that like Dr. Matthew Walker's come out on Joe Rogan and talk about how important it is. People are much more perceptive, but 20 years ago, man, things were very different.
You think we're ready to talk about it? I made a post talking about saying on the lower end of carbohydrate consumption, according to governing bodies, 50%. That's on the lower end of a lot of macronutrient ranges for carbohydrates. And I just don't know. Like I look at this and I see something like this and I refer back to my post about carbohydrates. I'm like, if I can't even get people to say the percentage of carbohydrates might be incorrect in the CrossFit prescription, how am I going to have people follow along with me when I say the base of the pyramid should be recovery?
But the reason why people are arguing with you is because they do care and they do have opinions, right? I feel like before it would just be you talk about nutrition and they'd be like, oh, listen to this fucking health nut trying to tell me that he's crazy. Just get some low fat cheese. That'll fix everything. Just go with low fat cheese. The people who are arguing with you are people who care and have opinions, and I say this hesitantly, but want to discuss nutrition with you, whether it's disagreeing or agreeing, right? Like you had who did you talk with? Oh, it's Hiller, right? You had a good discussion with him about the different carbohydrates and everything, right? You guys talked about nutrition.
Yeah, we talked about it some.
Yeah. But I mean, there was actually a conversation happening, because people care about it. It has opened up the book for people to agree or disagree at least. And you could say that same thing about all the things that we're whining and complaining about, whether it's a jump rope and plyometrics too. It's just tough. It's tough when it's mass content. I totally think we could revamp the L1 and bring it more current, and update a few things like adding in sleep, discussing that, adding in plyometrics. But I mean, to say that it's a garbage just because
it's not.
Few things that I have,
absolutely not.
I still read it probably once a year, and every time I read it, I still get pretty excited, especially at the start when he's talking about doing pirouettes, flips, all that kind of stuff. Like that gets me excited. And you also realize as you read that sometimes some of the blind spots we have in the sport, right? Because of those things.
No, it's good. It does overwhelmingly an amount of positive for the space. But like anything, like if we don't get things up to current times and we just let it sit there and be stale in 20 years, what could it be like if we don't look at it and be like, all the foundational movements, we are moving in external loads. So maybe we need to think about adding some foundational movements that don't include you moving an external load.
Yeah, I mean, they would argue with the air squat. That's not one, but I guess no, that's not. Is the air squat one of the foundational movements? It is, right?
I'll look up the foundational movements every time I look at them.
No.
There's a few mistakes. The air squat, front squat, overhead squat, squat progression, press progression.
Yeah.
Deadlift
press,
pull. That's
straight,
on AI.
Strict press.
That's not giving me them.
No, but you're right. It is all our foundational movements are.
The air squat is the only one without an external load.
Yeah.
Air squat, front squat, overhead squat, shoulder press, push jerk, deadlift, sumo deadlift, high pull, medicine ball. So like the one thing that it's negating that we spent a large amount of this show talking about, it might have been before the show, is how the amount of stress we put on our shoulders in CrossFit. There is not one foundational movement that is going to teach you how to set your scaps correctly to do a pull-up.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem. That's a huge problem. Like, look at how many people in CrossFit gyms. You walk into any CrossFit gym, any single class, and ask, whose shoulders aches, raise your hand. People are going to be raising their hands left and right. And the reason they're going to be doing that is because they don't know how to use their shoulder correctly. Partially a coach's fault, partially doing too much work. But as a methodology and as a coach, the way you fix that is by getting people to move better. And if it's not a foundational movement, like that's the start. That's the start of it. Like if we're valuing a sumo deadlift high pull, yeah, the foundational movements are something that I've thought about discussing some, but like some of these topics, I'm just like, I don't know if it's like worth poking the beast.
It's tough. I mean, you open yourself up to a lot of different criticism from a lot of different people when you start discussing those things. And there's a lot of history involved there too. And like I said, taking into account where we started at, I just think it needs to be a little bit updated, and we could change a couple things and make it better. I think your idea of focusing on the scapulas, when you're doing the pull-up, all that. Although when I went to my L1, they used to teach the pull-ups. I don't know. I haven't taken an L1 in a long time. So
they would do a strict muscle up. And I definitely didn't learn how to use the scapula correctly at the L1. And that might be too much. I might be trying to go too deep in an L1. But there was a strict muscle up at the L1. And I feel like I was taught false grip. And I was taught how to false grip very well. But I was not taught how to set my scaps when I pull.
Sure.
And that could be dependent on the L1. That could be dependent on the person giving it. And like some people might say, but like I have the amount of times I have a conversation in affiliate about teaching someone how to set their scaps correctly weekly. It's a very big deal.
I thought that they go over the scaps actually. Maybe it's just a journal article that I've read, which basically it's like whatever way the force is coming from, you should be resisting with your scapulas going the opposite way. Whether it's active shoulders above your head, or like if the bar is pulling you down, you should be engaged. Or if you're doing even something like an L sit, you should be, the weights, your gravity is pushing your body down and the parallels are pushing you up. So you need to resist against it and pull them down.
But the way you set your scaps in gymnastics is going to be different than the way you set your scaps in powerlifting. The way you set your scaps in a handstand walk is going to be different than the way you set your scaps in a strict press. Those are different.
Yeah, but I mean, they're giving you a general talking point for it. They're not going to get super geeky into it because, first of all, I mean, getting super geeky for most people, their eyes just glaze over anyways. I can remember one time that I like learned every muscle in the body, and I was like super excited that I taught myself every muscle and every bone and stuff like that. And then I went in and I talked to one of my clients and I said something about the bicep, and they're like, "Yeah, the bicep," and they like pointed at like their hamstring, and I was like, "All right."
But I mean, at the same,
you
like,
know,
I don't think that's what this is. I think this is like what I'm portraying is like the value system we have on movement selection in the L1. I don't understand. Like, we're going to teach someone how to snatch, but we're not going to teach them how to move the shoulder joint, the most complex joint, hardest to learn joint on the body, in a pressing form in each direction, but we're going to teach them how to snatch. That's the order of operations I have a hard time seeing. And in terms of GPP, knowing how to use your shoulder correctly is going to go way farther than you knowing how to snatch. You can learn how to snatch. I trained with someone. She's been to the games. She doesn't know how to hold her scapula in place and do a high pull. She cannot do a Cuban press. This has caused a significant amount of problems in her fitness journey. She goes to a PT regularly, tries to learn. She's had serious shoulder problems. If she was at her L1 and they placed a large emphasis on how to use your scapula.
Yeah, but their focus is big movements, and you've done higher level education. Have you taken like your CSCS or any other?
No, I should have sat for my CSCS after college, but I didn't.
Okay, but none of those courses are really covering that stuff either. And
but we should. We're the premier. We are the premier GPP course, and like that's what I would love to see us do. And like what you just said is, you said we focus on big movements, and like this is a whole rabbit hole too. Like we focus on big compound movements. We do. But isolated movements is how you learn things. When you have dysfunction, you go to a PT isolates what's going on, and you do isolated movements, and then you get better, then you slowly reintroduce to compound movements. And I think compound movements should still be the focus, but there's no representation of isolated movements.
Yeah, but maybe there's a place later on down the education, but the L1, this is the first stop in education, right? And you're already taking up an entire weekend. Oh, you hit your. I don't know.
Sorry, my dog freaking came in here. Go ahead. Sorry, you're talking about the education.
No, that's all right. I don't know if the first stop on the education train is to go over little things like that. And we're not PTs, right? At the end of the day, we're not physical therapists. You want to stay inside your scope of practice, and your scope of practice is movement. And if somebody has a significant amount of pain, you can try to help them some, but ultimately, if it's a big enough problem, you should refer out and let those people handle it. So now
I think we should be. I think as a trainer, as a CrossFit trainer, like my idea is we should be extremely good at teaching the extremely basic movements. We should be able to teach a push-up extremely well. We should be able to teach a strict pull-up extremely well. Air squat, deadlift. I think CrossFit trainers can teach an air squat very well, a deadlift very well, but setting a shoulder for push-ups and pull-ups, I can't say the same. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying the most basic movements. I'm not trying to like talk about like.
I mean, I'll take a CrossFit trainer over almost any other trainer. That's the problem. They are very good at that.
I don't disagree with that. I disagree with that. So, I agree. And like, I don't know. A lot of people,
they only have so much time. You got to give them a little bit of grace on that. How much can they possibly teach in one weekend? Now is there an argument that the push-up should be a foundational movement or even a bench press or something like that? Probably, but I'm sure they've gone through different iterations where they've had different things, and they're like, holy shit, this doesn't work because we just don't even have enough tools to scale it for everybody in this course or something. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Kinda. I mean, they might not have enough time at the L1, fair.
Like,
So value squat and deadlift more, sure. But
and
then
you're getting a press with the press, you know, like you're covering some things. I mean,
a pull up,
put
what's getting a strict muscle up? That's an additional movement, technically not a foundational movement.
a push up is a really high level movement. Like a good push up, I would say
More
is
high
a
level
very
than a snatch?
um
No, dude,
yeah.
don't
Well, I mean,
even say it.
I don't
Don't
want to.
even. Say,
I I'm kind of explaining. I don't want to throw any. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus or any movements under the bus. No, probably no. You know, but it's actually it's not true because you can push up requires your body weight. I have found over years of training that the bench press is so great, especially for women in practicing to build up push ups and burpees because you can do it incrementally. You can start exactly where the person's at and build their pressing strength and go from there. You know what I'm saying? But a
See,
push up,
in my head, it's the same. It's a horizontal press, push up,
yeah,
pull up. In terms of training and in terms of learning the movement and teaching a group of coaches what to do, it's a horizontal press. In
yeah.
terms of the shoulder joint, it should be treated pretty much roughly the same.
But when the L1 was created, and I know because I was there, the first gym that I worked at, we had like one or two benches, maybe. A lot of times,
Yeah.
if we wanted to bench with the whole group, we had a metal bench that was like the welcome bench. We would take that, throw a yoga mat over top of it, and that would be another spot for people to bench off of. We just didn't have the equipment to like be like, hey, everybody should learn how to bench press. And then the push up, as we went over, could be too high level to teach. So they were probably like, this is not appropriate right now. There's no way we can effectively teach people to handle large differences in people, you know. And they're like, we already have the strict press. It's working a pressing motion, even though it's vertical, not horizontal. But I can see why it's not in there. I mean, I would like to see it in there, and if they revamped it now that equipment's a little bit more available, that would be awesome. But I mean, shit, my first pull-up rig was that I worked out on was fucking plumber's pipe. You know, like Rogue was not really a thing yet. It became bigger, you know, the next year. But so that's why it needs to be revamped, though, if that makes sense. So I 100%. I don't want it to sound like I'm disagreeing with you. I 100% agree with you.
You're trying
but
to
I also understand where they come from too. You know, shit was really different back in 2011. You know.
Yeah, I was not doing CrossFit back then, so
I think we had 3 movable squat stands at my original gym. Like you'd have to pull them out and set it up to your width and everything like that. We rarely used it. You would just do a clean. You would either power clean it and then front squat it, or squat clean it and front squat it. And it's funny because years later in 2020, I went back to that because Rogue, because of all the shutdowns and everybody ordering equipment, you couldn't get equipment from them. So we didn't even have, we would do we would even do back squats from the ground. Just clean it, throw it over your head, set it down on your back, and back squat from there. Eventually I got movable squat stands that you could move out, but it wasn't until way later that you could get a rig. I feel like during COVID, they even shut down like their custom rig setup. Like you could only order fixed amounts. No. So, but anyways, we've gone on for really long at this point. I'd love to have you back on, and we'll continue to agree and disagree on different points. But thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the back and forth that me and John had. John, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your strong opinions and you know, combating with my strong opinions. I love that. I love the pushback. But yeah, like and subscribe if you can, guys. Thanks. I appreciate it. Bye. Oh, and don't forget, more protein, less bullshit.